everybody, welcome to Crisis Watch. This is going to be your weekly source of news, analysis, and, well, pretty awesome looking explosions here. Anything you want to know about the Infinite Crisis universe. My name is Optimus Tom, and joining me for this analysis is going to be my pal Goldenboy over here. And, well, we got a lot of awesome stuff lined up for you today.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, today we're actually going to be going over one of the most popular characters in Infinite Crisis, Gaslight Batman. And I'm actually pretty stoked about this. I'm trying to get into using Gaslight Batman myself. And we'll see how that fares today.
Well, personally, I'm a big fan of this guy because I just learned the other day that Batman's actually from New Jersey, and that's where I'm from. So
okay.
This must be steampunk New Jersey. I'm assuming that's like more the Edison kind of area. But Gaslight Batman, he's a marksman character, so he's going to dish out a ridiculous amount of damage. You can see he has a passive ability, Echoes. It's going to start reducing their attack defense every single time you layer those attacks on people. So more and more damage stacks up. And, well, he's got a plenty big arsenal worth of abilities up behind that one. Of course, he's Batman, so he's got all his favorite little gadgets and everything. Sonic Shell's, of course, going to be able to throw exploding shell, slow down enemies in the area as well as damage them. It gets a little reveal on them as well. He's got the BATARANG, and of course his grappling hook here. Batflight's going to help him swing into action, dish out some damage to enemies. That's not all he's got, Goldenboy.
That's right. He also has Bat Scream, which is an awesome ability. It goes the entire map. You throw down the ultimate, and it's gone. It is so sick, and it just unleashes that Sonic Blast that we all know and love. The typical bat symbol. It's just awesome stuff. The
best part about that ability, too, is the fact that the pros at the E3 show match, if you guys didn't check that out first off, you want to go back and take a look at that because we have some awesome matches to Complexity and Curse Academy, but the pros love that ability because there's a destruction statistic in this game. And just the fact you can rack up as much damage as possible across the entire map, it's just ridiculously fun to shoot.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite things about it is usually initiating with fights, right? So I would, more than likely throw it out there and then try and see if I can, I guess, make the players like go out a little bit more and allow my teammates to be able to get that capture point. So some cool stuff. Definitely Gaslight Batman, and he's awesome. And that's why he's one of the most used characters in Infinite Crisis.
Definitely, he's a big popularity fan here, and of course, having so much utility to him, having so much use, there's plenty of different ways you could use him. You can use him as that marksman to deal a lot of damage, or like you said, be the initiator for the fights and really secure capture points on things like Gotham Heights. And, well, we're actually going to get some inside information on this guy, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. In just a few minutes, Axeltoss is going to be taking some time to actually join with Chris Clay, who's actually one of the lead champion designers over at Infinite Crisis. If you guys don't know Axeltoss, he's one of MLG StarCraft 2 casters. He's an awesome guy, and he's also an awesome fan of Infinite Crisis, kind of like us two. So it's going to be pretty cool to watch, guys. Be sure to check that out. That's going to be coming up in just a little bit.
Yeah, guys, we're going to throw it to a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere because we have lots of Infinite Crisis action. Like Goldenboy said, we have Chris Clay, lead champion designer, and Axeltoss coming at you guys after the break.
What's up, guys? Axeltoss here on Crisis Watch. This segment is going to be dedicated to going over a champion. I recently jumped into playing Gaslight Batman last week, and we have a VOD excerpt from this, and we're going to have someone special join us to go over this gameplay. Remember, throughout this entire segment, tweet at MLG any of your questions, and we'll not only answer them, but you'll get yourself a closed beta key invite to the game Infinite Crisis. That being said, I have the lead champion designer, Chris Clay, on the line. How's it going, man?
It's going really good. I'm glad to be here to talk about Gaslight Batman.
Sick. I'm really excited too. Now, before we get started, can you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit and maybe say what you kind of do at Infinite Crisis, what you're working on right now?
So yeah, I am the lead champion designer, and basically what that means is I shepherd the process and oversee everything we do to make the champions come to life. I've also been working extensively on just the core combat mechanics and how all of those interactions take place. It's really a great job.
So, I mean, I've heard your favorite champion is, in fact, Gaslight Batman, which is very convenient for us.
That is true.
Can you explain this a little bit?
Yeah. So Gaslight Batman was one of the champions that I designed, and I really love skill shot characters.
Yeah.
And as an AD carry, he has a lot of skill shots in his kit. He also can play as a hybrid. You can take him, down that marksman path and really focus on attack damage, or you can take him down the power damage path and focus more on the skills. And being able to adapt to what the other team is building in terms of defenses and whatnot gives him a lot of flexibility in which path you take him down to really just dominate a match.
Wow. Yeah, the fact that it's a hybrid is really cool. And to put it in layman's terms, if you're watching, you don't necessarily know a lot about Infinite Crisis. Gaslight Batman is the guy that pokes and prods. You want to keep him away, but he can get a lot of damage if you scale him up correctly. And if he starts getting a lot of kills, he becomes absolutely terrifying. But he's a very squishy character, so you want to stay away from other champions. I actually just want to get started with the gameplay. So are you ready to start this with me?
Let's do this.
All right, let's get into it. All right, so here we are, and before we get too far into this, I just want to say this is like my third game with Gaslight Batman. So everyone watching, relax a little bit. I know I'm terrible, probably, but I had a lot of fun with this. Gaslight Batman's such a diverse character. And to get things started, I kind of want to talk about the stolen powers before this kind of goes away. If I'm choosing Gaslight Batman, what do you think are the stolen powers that I should be going for? These two that I chose, are you okay with these?
On Gotham Heights, the surveillance cameras can be handy, but so much of the map is already revealed that going for super speed as your secondary pick, along with Ben's Spacetime, the super speed is just really strong on this map type. So never a wrong option to go with the speed. If you're going to be going bot lane, going with some of the sustain that you can get out of consume can be a good decision. But more vision on the map, never a horrible choice.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm kind of a positioning guy where if I don't know a lot, I'm kind of scared. As a StarCraft player, it's like it's all about vision of the map for me. So that's kind of why I did this. But kind of to explain this a little bit, stolen powers are these two key aspects of Infinite Crisis that you can choose to kind of enhance your character. You can see on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Well, on the left-hand side for now, that's my team. You can see all the stolen powers they have. You can see all these different characters as well. I'm deciding to go with Ben's Spacetime, which allows me to teleport to any point location that is currently controlled by my team. Very handy for getting across the map, for protecting a point, for helping out your teammates. Again, for getting across the map very quickly. So we're going to start things off here. And my kind of idea behind the camera, and you can, again, tell me if I'm wrong, I'm wanting to go bot lane. That's what I want to do. And I love putting a camera near the health, kind of on their side of the map, so I can kind of see if I'm getting flanked, so I can see how far I can get closer to my opponent's bottom point, like 3 in this case.
Yep. Getting a camera up by the middle health on the bot lane so that you can see if somebody's coming in from another angle to try and pinch you, or getting it back towards their health can definitely be good. Gaslight Batman can do very well in the bot lane. The thing is, with your team comp, getting the marksman in with everybody else to really dish out the damage with some protection can be key. Typically what we'll do is summon somebody down in the bot lane that has a little bit more sustain. Gaslight Joker right now is absolutely broken bot lane at the moment. He's going to be getting bounced a little bit, but he's a really good pick bot lane.
Okay.
If you're going like double marksman, sending one of them bot lane is definitely not a bad decision. Green Lantern can do very well in the bot lane as well. This is sort of interesting because you've got a 2v1 situation developing on the bot lane right now.
I don't want to spoil anything, but this isn't that good for me, is it?
This is going to make it hard. You're going to have to...
Because they both poke, right? So it's like, how the heck am I going to hold this point when they're both just poking at me? Like, where am I supposed to go?
The good news is your team up top should take the top point just because of the mismatch in power. It's really a question of how well you can hold this with their minions coming in.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens here. I'm just trying to keep them away, just trying to keep this as long as possible, hoping my team comes to help me.
This is an interesting point because they pinchered you there.
Yeah.
And basically what you want to do there is, because your turret didn't have any minions from the enemy team around it at the moment, you actually want to bail towards your health.
Yeah.
What that'll do is it'll pull them into the turret, and you can loop around the backside to come back into the fight if they decide to stay on the turret. Poke them with your Sonic Batarang, which will bounce between them. That stops the capture, reactivates the turret, and it would have let you hold it a little bit longer. Because they've got so much range, when they hit you on both sides, you only had the one option to sort of peel back.
Exactly. It gives me more options to be away from it, and now I can do what my role is for, right? Poke, try to delay them as long as possible. If they take the point, I mean, I guess it's better than dying. My teammate will come soon, hopefully. But at this point, I'm happy, right? I got Wonder Woman there. who obviously is the tanky character. I'm like, all right, Wonder Woman, go in there. Let's take these guys. We have Flash there, so it's 3 versus 2, and I feel kind of comfortable taking this.
Yeah, this should work out quite well for you guys.
Yeah.
And it does.
Oh, our Wonder Woman died, which is mildly sad, but we got the point.
So one thing, when you popped off the point there, you stopped your capture. You know, keeping 2 people on the point definitely speeds things up.
But can you talk a little bit, like when you're actually capturing a point, there's a slight delay where it doesn't start capping again until you're on it for a certain amount of time. Is that true?
Yep, so there is no interaction directly, like you don't have to click on the turret or anything. Just being on the pad, you'll see that sort of particle coming in. There's a very short warm-up, and then you'll be in capturing mode. If you're disrupted by damage or something else, you've got to go through the warm-up again. So this is another place where you were peeled off the point, and if all 3 of you had stayed on the point to keep capturing, you may have been able to take it. Instead, this is turning out very badly.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like, I stepped off the point there too, which, I mean, I don't know if I would have captured it anyway, but my team dies, I back off. I'm not going to say that's my fault exclusively. They kind of went forward, so I kind of had to follow them kind of a thing. But the point being, capturing the point is probably the most important circumstance in that situation.
You want to get that turret up so that you can get that additional firepower.
So let's talk about Gaslight Batman's abilities so far. We haven't talked about him too much. There's a Q, W, E, and R, kind of basic to all MOBAs. The Q is kind of a boomerang. It sends across, you throw it a decent distance, it's a good poking tool, then it kind of ricochets here and there. That, what you just saw fly by me is my opponent, that's his ultimate, his Gaslight Batman ultimate, which basically is like a big projectile that goes all across the map that does a good amount of, I think it's power damage. And then there's the W that kind of throws a little I don't know what to call it, but it's a particle. It's a poking mechanism. If it lands, it does damage and it slows your opponent. And then E is a nice movement thing. Like if you love moving around, if you love being fast, E is going to be your holy grail. You can swing around everywhere, dip and dodge, get into position. It's really fun to use. If your opponent's retreating and they're really low on health, you can zip forward and nail them down. Did I explain those okay? You want to elaborate at all?
The only other thing that I would add in there is his passive is echoes.
Yeah.
And on a map like this, especially when you're up against 2 stealth champions in Gaslight Catwoman and Vampire Batman, what Echoes will do is it will reveal your target for about 4 seconds. And what it also does is increases the damage of your Sonic Batarang and your Bat Scream. You can also place the Echoes debuff on people with your Sonic Shell. That's the one you throw out and detonate. And getting Echoes on people...
Vampire Batman. If there, sorry to cut you off, but if there's someone out to get me in this game, it's Vampire Batman. But go on.
Yeah, Vampire Batman is essentially designed to take out Gaslight Batman.
I knew it. Okay, thank you for verifying that. I had a feeling. I knew it.
Yeah, Vampire Batman can really jump in on squishies and ruin their day. As soon as he showed up there, Wonder Woman ideally would have put herself between Vampire Batman and you, so that you could have pulled back a little bit. And been protected.
And
instead, you got jumped on first,
and
she just can't dish out the damage.
I kind of swung in there too. I think that was a little reckless of me. Never swing close to Vampire Batman. That's going to be the end of your day. But anyway, we talked about Echoes. If we're talking about combining all my skills with Gaslight Batman, what would be your suggestion? Like, what are you trying to go for? Do you swing? I mean, obviously it's a little bit position dependent, but what kind of order do you want to go in to maximize your damage output?
So, I mean, one of the key things with Gaslight Batman is just staying away. You want to be staying at your max range if you can, and just staying out of danger. Because once you're up close, you can evaporate really quickly. You know, like right now you're taking turret damage, and that turret destroyed you.
Yeah.
So, staying back, using your skills to poke people as they come in, you know, let them essentially get to you, and then you can bat flight away. Even sometimes it's, you know, bat flight through them once they're up close to get distance on the other side. And you keep them chasing you for as much time as you can, and you know, as soon as you get a couple kills in, you can scale to the point that they just can't get to you.
Okay. And like, can you, like, I've gotten grabbed out of midair when I was using my E. And again, this is another Vampire Batman story. I have plenty of them. I wake up with nightmares. I promise. I'm trying to swing away in my dream, and then Vampire Batman comes out of nowhere and locks me down. That's certainly possible in this game.
Absolutely possible. while you're in bat flight, you can still be hit by, stuns.
Like Doomsday's
grabs.
little crush thing.
Yep. You are still vulnerable. It's one of the things that keeps it balanced.
Here's a pretty interesting team fight. We're trying to take the middle. This is a very important, but well, it's already given up, which is a little bit unfortunate. The middle is important because it gives you more points. Right? Oh no, Vampire Batman again! Why? Why does this always happen to me? Leave me alone, Vampire Batman.
Yeah. So that sequence there is you guys went up and took point 5, which giving them the first middle capture to restabilize yourselves is not the worst idea ever. The first capture isn't going to shift the balance too extensively. Essentially what it does is when you capture that point, a short time later a meteor will drop. That's the little red circle on the map. That area is now closed off to movement, and it does damage to your power core.
Right.
That scales with time. So as you go on further and deeper into the match, you want to make sure that you're there ahead of time. You'll notice up at the top of the map, there's a little timeline scrolling by, and there's a little red diamond up there. That's essentially telling you when that next event is going to occur, that next unlock. So keeping an eye on that can give your team an advantage in planning so that you can make sure that you're there at the right time for the team fight that's going to occur.
So at this point in the game, it appears my team, we have 4 at the bottom and 1 at the top. We have control over points 1, 5, and 4. Are we addressing this properly, or should we more be focusing on keeping these 3 points contested and maybe having Wonder Woman up at the top with me or Shazam at the top with me, making sure we can lock down 1?
Yeah, this is a classic, overcommitting, where you were in really good board position. You had, the top point and 5 and 4. And by overcommitting to try and go and take their bottom right point, number 3, it just did not turn out well. Yeah. You had all your forces down there, it allowed them to tag team you up top. Because your teammates were fighting on the enemy turret, that turret basically replaces the fact that they're down a man. And the red team was able to get the better of that, not only holding their point, but also taking the top point, leaving you in a weaker map position overall.
Yeah, because the basic idea behind a map like this is having control of 3 of the 5 points and making sure your enemy team doesn't get crazy control of the middle there. So now we have Wonder Woman joining me at the top, Green Lantern as well. We're going to try to resecure 1. Well, what's the basic game plan you think we should have being down 377 to 266?
Yeah, so the most important thing at this point is really to not panic. Slow the game down, think about what you really need to do, and it's not that complex. You need to grab those 3 points and hold. What's happening a lot is you're getting into odd man situations where Flash is trying to hold the bottom point 1v2,
right? And
if your team was doing a better job of splitting up to match the enemy composition, it would definitely help. Right now, you've got 3-on-2 at the center point. This should turn out well, except for the fact that you've just been taken out of the fight.
Yeah.
So you had that whole walk around where you're not there doing damage.
And now my E's on cooldown, so I can't get away from this guy.
Yep. And it just sort of snowballed.
Shazam was coming after me. I mean, I was just trying to get away. What do you think I could have done differently there?
Yeah, that might have been a case where instead of flying away from the fight with that flight, if you had actually swung through to the far side of the fight, it's against your sort of natural instincts. I mean, when you're trying to get away,
especially towards Nightmare Batman.
Right. But actually being aggressive there may have been the better play, because you had a lot of support, and there was enough disruption there that I think it might have worked out better. 2020 hindsight.
Sure, absolutely. I'm actually writing this down right now, so I remember.
Yeah, that was a pretty spectacular Ben space time to save the turret and take out your counterpart.
Hey man, there can only be one Gaslight Batman on the map. I'm gonna be the one if there's anyone as we continue to the top. So at this point, we're still pretty far behind, 357 to 193. We lost the middle again. We need to figure something out. Wonder Woman's on her own at the top, it looks like. 1 versus 2. Can you kind of go ahead and explain again what should be the main objectives at this point?
Yeah, so just there's a little microcosm of what's going on there. In you and Green Lantern were pulled off to chase down the enemy Green Lantern, and he just sucked you away from the important goal of really getting that top point. The other thing, with a Flash on your team, Flash has tons of mobility. He can really zip around the map, and using him to disrupt the other team. So if he goes and tries to capture their number 2 point, pulls some people off to mess with him, he can go disappear back into the center before they get there, and create some of those favorable matchups in terms of player density.
Yeah, I've actually been playing with that a lot, using the speedier characters to try to really distract your opponent. Like going to 2 right now with one of the speedier characters, you always have the ability to get away, and if you can just distract 2 of the other team, then you're kind of doing a good job, because that means those 2 champions are not going to be somewhere else where you're going to have 4 champions potentially.
Right. So instead, what essentially happened here is Flash is now caught out. Two enemy champions and enemy turret between him and you. Right now, just lots of dispersing going on.
Not a lot of coordination, not a lot of cohesion between
right.
teams.
And he did, do what we were talking about. He sort of headed up towards point number 2, but in doing it on the outside ring, it telegraphed the move. Everybody knew what he was going to do. Gaslight Catwoman fall right behind. There was no surprise there. You really need that coming out of nowhere and being like, oh man, he's capturing point 2. We need to go deal with that. Or maybe they won't, and it makes it even easier to hold.
Now it's a dire situation. The middle's open. My team has 92. My opponent's team has 353. How do you kind of balance between trying to go for the middle and trying to take one of these points, or is this just a lost game at this point?
I've definitely seen people come back from this. The key is that point is open. The enemy team is up at point number 1, or we're calling. Instead of going for point 3, as Blue, you guys needed to drop in there a long time ago. It's just been sitting there waiting, and now that they're coming out of their base with new items, completely topped off, they just got all the momentum. They're gonna, come in here. They rolled you at point 3, so you gave up the opportunity to go for the middle point, and then met them at their strength when they're coming out flush with new items and health.
So I think a big theme of this game is trying to go after that 3 point. I feel like we've been trying to do that a lot, whereas maybe our attention more focused on the 1 point, which is a little bit more neutral as far as it's on the top of the map, not ridiculously close to where our opponents spawn, might have been the better decision, and playing more defensive at the 4 point.
Yeah, the thing with going after point number 3, if they've chosen to give it up and they're not going to defend it, obviously it makes sense to go and take it. But it's incredibly to defend the 3 point and the 4 point. They're just too near the enemy base.
Yeah.
You might hold it for a little while, even longer if you're completely dominating a game. But it is a little bit of a trap if they've got any sort of defense mounted there.
So we see here, I'm trying to help Wonder Woman. Is this a place I should be? What am I doing right and wrong in this situation?
That was definitely a situation where, with her at such low health, it's sort of like, sorry, Wonder Woman, Batman's getting out of dodge.
Fair enough. And
even here, it's 4v3.
Yeah.
Just a rough spot. Shazam shouldn't be engaging. This is a case where
I feel helpless.
The point was getting capped, and if Shazam, instead of trying to force the fight, had fallen back, it would have been capped just about the time you arrived, and a very credible defense could have been mounted there. But he sort of threw it away a little bit there.
And at this point, we have 10 points, 9. We're getting lower and lower here.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time now.
Yeah. Unfortunate. How would you rate my play overall in this game? Any basic, what I did right and what I did wrong? especially concerning Gaslight Batman as a champion and how you should be utilizing him.
Yeah, in terms of specific skill control, embedding that sort of binary choice of am I going to use Batflight to escape or am I using it to push through to the other side of the enemy team. There are definitely cases as Gaslight Batman where not just running away, but running away sort of through the other team can make a big difference. There were a number of times that skill shots got a little bit shanked, so really getting a feel for those ranges will help you out a lot. And while sending him solo bot is not the worst decision, he does work best when he is supported by allies, especially allies that have some form of crowd control. So trying going top with him to really participate in those team fights and get that additional attack damage out there will help. Because that top squad was all focused on power damage. Aside from Wonder Woman, she's not going to kick out a ton. There was a little bit of misbalance there.
Awesome. And then looking at this scores screen, we can see I went 8, 7, and 7. Their Catwoman kind of went out of control at 17 and 12. Do you have any thoughts on the score screen and what we should really be looking at to help ourselves improve?
Well, clearly the most important number is your destruction value. You really blew some stuff up with that stream as you sent it across the map.
Yes.
As a bot lane character, you got a lot of drone kills. You got more kills than your Gaslight Batman counterpart on the other team. By going bot lane, you do sort of take yourself out of the overall team fight component. So kills are going to be lower. Gaslight Batman can do exactly what Gaslight Catwoman did on this map and just go ridiculously nuts.
I've had those games. I think I've had a 22 in like 4.
Yeah, and as I had said earlier, picking up a singular health item of some kind, or even the attack health items like Lobo's Chain to give yourself a little bit more durability can be a good decision, especially early on if you don't need the mobility. If you're going to lane with 20% more health than your opponent, it just gives you a lot more flexibility, and you can put the pressure on them.
That's a really good point. I mean, I know like everyone has that mentality. Okay, Gaslight Batman, I gotta get the damage done. But what about just staying alive a little bit longer? How much more damage is that? And it could be a great thing, just picking up a health item. I think that's a fantastic point. But I think that's also going to wrap things up. And I want to thank you once again, Chris Clay, for giving me all this pro advice on Gaslight Batman. Look out, Infinite Crisis. If you see Axeltoss playing Gaslight Batman, you're going to be in trouble. But again, guys, feel free to use this to help you out as well. Chris, I want to thank you once again for giving me those tips.
My pleasure.
Talk to you again soon.
Yep, take care.